Room Sounds Production. What up, sound?
Those juice boxes, y'all. Hello and welcome to the Red Room Talk. You can find us here every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Jen. The Red Room Talk is a show about love, intimacy, and interpersonal relationships, including self. We talk about erasing different social stigmas. We are here to have candid discussions and cut through stigmas to show that in the end, no matter your background, we all have commonalities when it comes to matters of the mind and heart. Nothing is off the table in the Red Room Talk. Last episode, if you missed us, that's okay. You can find us on YouTube by clicking that little icon in my profile and subscribing. Last episode, we talked about mental health, but this week we're going to talk about family and how family can shape your relationships later in life. Tonight in the Red Room, we have an all-star cast. We have G-Way, we got Baldy, we got RDS, and we got Lil Woody. Let's find out how tonight's panel feels about family. But before we get started, all that I ask is that you keep your mind open and your language clean. First things first, I'm going to let the guests in the box and let them introduce themselves. Go ahead and hit that plus sign, Baldy.
Yo. Hey, everybody was on time. I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Red Room. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your stream, and then we will get started.
Of course, this is your boy G-Way and O-Way co-host. You catch me here Saturdays, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, I'm the host of Hood Feud, which is normally on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do Shake That You Know What on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. I also do the Red Light Special Fridays at 9 p.m. as well, along with judging and co-hosting with my boy K.O.D. on the Get Lit Show, the longest music running show on the app. Other than that, you can catch me from 9 to whenever, any night.
Go ahead. Yep.
Well, how everybody doing? I'm Baldy. I'm new to the app. Only been on almost a month. I'm here to try to, put myself out there. So if y'all have time, make sure y'all hit that fave button and stop by the Baldy Show.
All right, RDS in the house.
Hey guys. It's RDS. I'm not much of a streamer. I stream every once in a while. It's like when you catch me, you catch me. But mainly you can find me in King of Diamonds Live or Thursday nights or any of these people in here and they shows on the times they got their shows. Like you can find me in all they live. And you can subscribe to my YouTube in my bio as well. I would greatly appreciate that. I am also a rapper.
Hello, my name is Lil Woody. I have a show every Monday, new time at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I know it's a little late, but it's great, so that's exactly why. It's called Making a Mess Monday with me, myself, and my co-host, Mrs. So make sure y'all tune in. It's starting back this Monday, new season, new time, and we lit with it. Also, y'all can follow me on Instagram. It's in my bio, and then that's the way you can contact me about any type of music stuff, everything like that. I do sing as well, so yeah. And thank you for having me again, dear.
Well, I am your host, Jen and Juice. You can find me here every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can find me late nights between 10 p.m. and noon. You never know with me. That's the truth, though. So tonight's topic, family. John Lennon said that all you need is love, but how you give and receive it is greatly influenced and shaped by one or two critical people in your life, your parents. In fact, your first experience with this emotion is with your parents, and those early years set the bar for how we see, give, and receive love and what we want out of relationships later in life. So, my first question is blood thicker than water regarding your family?
No, no. In my instance, in my experience, no. I've found that not to be mean or anything like that. Ain't none of my family members in here, is it? But I found that I tend to love the person I'm with more than my actual family. Like I don't know, it's just the way it played out or just the way it goes. But I get more care and support and love from the majority of like if I'm with somebody or my friends. Like my friends care more about my life more so than my family and my kids. So for me, no, it's a big in and out.
I guess it's on me. Well, I'll say no as well. To piggyback off what G-Way said, no, in that topic, family is always going to be there for you. Whether y'all bump heads or anything like that, you can always rely back on your family. But also, as G-Way said, I'm the type of person, I guess I'm better in person. So a lot of people who I'm with and dealing with tend to get, respond with me a little bit better, I say, because, I feel like I'm better in person. That's just me. Like I always tell everybody, with me, you get what you see. So
I think with me, I'm gonna say it just depends on which family member we're talking about because my sister 9 times out of 10, like she just as real as me, and we like as real as they come. So if she got a feeling about you 9 times out of 10, she usually be right. But I'm not, at the same time, I'm not gonna, it's not like I'm gonna choose like every her over everybody. It's situational for me basically. But for most people, it like I agree with G Way and Baldy. Like a lot of times it can be that water could be thicker than their blood. So it's just situational for me. But most times it won't be blood thicker than water for me. Most times it won't.
I have to say, I feel like I'm on the same page. Especially when it comes to what RDS just said. My sister is my backbone. So for me, it's like when it comes to everything, all my decisions, everything I go through, the first person that I call is my big sister. But when it comes to some of the other parts of my family, it's more like I'm hesitant because I feel like it's more judgment than anything as to with friends and people that I've known for years who aren't family that I feel like they judge me less and they don't have as much negative feelings, if that makes any sense. Because when you let somebody, when you let somebody close to you know something personal about you, if it's hurting you in any kind of way, they gonna feel negative towards it. So I feel like that happens more with your family than it does with your friends because your family loves you so much and they never want to see you hurt. But just because I'm venting about something that I'm going through doesn't necessarily mean that I want you to feel negative towards it. You know what I mean? And your friends understand that more than your family actually do. That's why I turn to my friends more than I actually turn to my family because they really stick beside me.
Right.
You said a word then. It do be your friends that get it because we're not judging you because most like we probably been through that same thing.
For me, I guess it all depends on who you talk to in your family.
Right,
Because
right.
me, my brother, my sister, I can talk to about anything. They're gonna be real with me, and I have friends who also I can go and talk to, and they're gonna be real with me. But my aces is my brother and my sister. So
Yeah, it's normally the sibling. Like for me, it's my brother. Like if I really need to talk to somebody, it's my brother. I'm not going to anybody else.
Most definitely. Um, my stepsister and my second oldest brother are kind of like my ace boons. And I know no matter what happens in this world, whether she was mad at me or not, my mother also, as much as, we don't always see eye to eye. I know one thing for sure in this world is that my mother will always, always, always have my back, whether I'm wrong or I'm right, but she's going to help me get it right. With that being said, growing up, I mean, really, it was kind of like all about friends. My friends kind of were there for me, because my parents, my mom worked, and my dad, he was doing his thing. Um, but for sure, like, it wasn't always my family just there for me, not in that aspect, unless it was my immediate family. A lot of times my friends were there to pick me up first before my family was. So, I mean, it's kind of like that, that balance. It was either friends or family. But at the end of the day, I know no matter what, my mom and my brothers always got me. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just one way or the other for sure. But yeah. So if you are just pulling up, that's okay. We have so much more to come. You can find us here every Saturday on the Red Room Talk at Eastern Standard Time. We just discussed is blood thicker than water. Now I want to dig a little deeper into the family dynamic. I do believe that how emotionally available our parents are.
Red Room Daddy.
Fluid the type of affection we formed with them. Just let me take a drink real quick. Here.
We ain't gonna talk about the
attachment
in the room.
Right, no, not at all. Attachment theory suggests that we create an internal working model of our parents that we later internalize as our own sense of self. This attachment style also affects how we experience ourselves and in turn how we are in relationships. Our childhood experiences with our parents provide a model for our adult relationships, what we can do to break a negative cycle, and how we raise the next generation. So a lot of times, we kind of model after our parents what we find and look for in our next relationship, either consciously or subconsciously. So it's not always just, that line of like, this is just who you are. No, this is like nature versus nurture. The way you grew up and how you were raised really affects how you are in relationship. So, with that being said, there's much talk recently of increased social problems due to family breakdown. What do you think about this? Can you repeat it? Do you want me to repeat that?
Facts, please repeat that.
I'm turning my comments off. There's much talk recently of increased social problems due to family breakdown. What do you think about this?
In my opinion, increased social problem due to family breakdown. I agree, because like you said before, you without even doing it, you do a lot of the stuff that you see and grown up see to know to do. Like whether that's paying bills or whether that's cleaning or like it just. I agree. 100%.
For sure.
You ain't giving much of work there on Red G-Way.
yeah, no piggybacking this time.
I mean, if you kind of want me to explain a little bit, if you want me to explain a little deeper. Okay.
Also, put it so I say I can agree with it because you got being kids' minds is a sponge. So everything that they see, they mimic and they do. And a lot with growing up, we see things, and then especially when we get a little bit older, we start to kind of picture how we want our life to be, and what you see, whether you want it to happen or not, molds.
Right. You're right. It's not even on purpose. Like it just happens.
Based off experiences, other things, it kind of molds you. So a lot of the stuff growing up and stuff, it's kind of hard because what they say generational curses, we deal with stuff like that.
Well, I feel like I can agree to an extent. So I feel like there's a lot of things that I feel like there's a lot of things that I picked up on as a child, and I've carried into my adulthood. But I've realized the negative things that I went through and the things that my parents went through and the people who they were and the things that kind of held them back. And like I've told myself, like I'm only 23 years old, so I've told myself like that's not who I want to be when I'm 30 years old, when I'm 35 years old, when I'm 40 years old. So I'm trying to work to break those quote unquote generational curses because I've acknowledged what they are. And I can see them live in the flesh as I see my parents as I grow, and they're still continuing to grow because it doesn't matter how old you are as an adult, you're still growing in some aspect. So as I'm watching them and the people that they are continuing to become, I'm becoming my own person, and I've realized that as much as I admire and adore my parents, I'm not going to be a reflection of them. They're just going to be a part of my life, if you can understand what I'm saying. I'm going to model the people that they wish they could have been.
I want to kind of say something on that. And a lot of times,
Sure.
you know, with growing up, it's hard to tell where it sticks with you. You know, even when it comes to like the generational curses thing. Like, you know, a lot of people when they're growing up, like if they got whooped and stuff growing up, that I'm never gonna do that, or I'm never gonna treat my kids this way, and all that other stuff. And then when you grow up and then you get into that realm of being a parent or something else along those lines, and then you just like your child does something, and then you just like, why you do that? And then I mean, it's just something that sometimes happen naturally.
Yeah, I done naturally got some butt whooping techniques from my parents.
Yeah, what was the question, Jen?
So the question was, you know, there's recently increased social problems due to family breakdown. So like, especially like this day and age, I'll kind of take it, and then I'll let you have it after. I'll throw it back to you. But like this day and age, like a lot of the family, like the breakdown of the family, like the families aren't sticking together as single parent homes. You know, or the kids living with grandparents versus their parents. I mean, because the family dynamic has changed so much in the last 10 years alone. I mean, a lot of kids don't have two parents home or know what that even looks like. You know, I was one of those lucky kids, whether or not they had a great relationship or not, I had two parents in the home. So I know what that dynamic looks like.
Right.
So for when I go into a relationship, I know that when I have a family, I want those two parents. Whether or not that has to be that way or should be that way or shouldn't, or however people look at it, I know what I had, so I know what I want to model after. And whether that happens or not, that's neither here nor there, because I know at the end of the day what I seen, what I grew up with, and what I'm used to. So when I look at people who... Go ahead.
So is the question, do we feel like that causes social problems?
Like, what do you think about that? What do you think about the social problems due to the family breakdown? I mean, you got to think about like people having like one parent home. So like they often have trouble loving because they've never seen what that love looks like. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I think it definitely affects that. I was fortunate enough too to have both parents. So like, I don't know. I feel like I know how that could cause social problems though, because like, I don't know, children process stuff like they won't even tell us. Like they have a whole process of what they think is going on in their head, and we ask them what's wrong, and they be like nothing. We'll never know what's going on. Like nobody will tell you 100% anyway what's going on. So
Right.
True.
And not
so if you're
just like, I'm sorry, Jen, but like, so like I just buried a friend of mine this weekend. He was married with 2 kids. So I feel like that was something that I've been looking at. The little girl, like as she was watching her dad get buried in the ground, she was just staring, and she was like, I was like, what you looking at? She was like, that's my daddy down there. Like she like 3 years old. It was so sad, and I feel like that's gonna mess with her for the rest of her life. Just the whole situation and what happened and all that stuff. Definitely messes with your social aspect.
I say in that experience, one thing, especially as an adult, when you have to see a child hurt like that or not understand what's going on, it hits a little bit different because they don't understand why that person is not coming back no more. So that caused problems with them growing up because with them being young, the only thing they know is that, oh, mommy's not coming back or daddy's not coming back, and they don't know why. But when they get older, then that hurts the other parent as well because then they have to explain to their child, what really happened. But honestly, I think social media has a lot to do with the way the family dynamic is, in my opinion. Because back in the day, everybody had Big Mama or whoever always cooking, wanting people to come to their house and getting the family together. We don't have that no more. We can go on social media and see what the family got going on and stuff like that. It's just not the same. And I think the internet pretty much changed a lot of that stuff.
Right.
Agreed. So if you were just pulling up, that's okay. You have not missed much. We still have a lot more to discuss. You can find us here every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Red Room Talk. But you can also click that little icon on my profile and find me on YouTube and Instagram to find any shows that you've missed. We just discussed if blood was thicker than water. Then we discussed the family breakdown. Now I want to know a little more specifically about your relationships. Groundbreaking research during the 1960s and 1970s by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth assisted in our understanding of attachment theory. Since their work, many psychological researchers have examined different ways secure and various forms of insecure attachments with our parents affect how they affect our attachment styles as adults. For instance, if a parent showed love, responded to our needs, and validated our feelings, we were more likely to develop a secure attachment style. We seek out and desire the same attachment style as an adult. On the flip side, if we had an insecure attachment development with our parents, we may have a fragmented sense of self. This may lead to low self-esteem, anxiety in relationships, distrust, doubt that we can trust others, and sometimes being more apt to seek out relationships that mimic this same attachment style. Not because it feels good, because it feels like home. It feels familiar to us. These are things that we grew up knowing, grew up seeing, so it doesn't feel any different to us. It's kind of like having an illness, right? When you have a mental illness, you don't feel any different than anybody else, right? So it's kind of the same concept. You grew up knowing this, you grew up feeling this, and you grew up seeing this, so it doesn't feel any different to you, where it might feel different from someone looking from the outside in. So what I want to know is, what's your relationship with your parents and family like? And I'm gonna go ahead and swing it over to Woody. I'm gonna let the ladies go first this time. But what does your relationship with your parents and family look like?
This part of the conversation is always a little bit harder for me. And I was on the episode the last time we talked about this. But I grew up with my parents, both of them together until about the age of 5, and then my parents split. When my parents split, I moved with my mom for a little bit, but then I ended up coming back to visit my dad, and I ended up being raised strictly by my dad. Now I will go to visit my mom, maybe once a year, but my relationship with her was very straight. And it was more because I felt like her being the woman that she was should be able to step up even after, deciding to let my dad keep me and not be the mom in my life. But at the end of the day, nothing against single fathers. A man can never raise a woman by himself because you can't teach a woman how to be a woman if you're not a woman yourself. Thanks. And being with my dad for as long as I was with my dad and only being with my brothers and him, it was very hard to adjust into being a young woman and then eventually a young lady and then now a grown woman because of the simple fact that nobody ever showed me that. So when it comes to me meeting women now, I'm very standoffish because the one and only woman who brought me into this world was very neglectful when it came to me. So I don't trust women as much as I would honestly trust a man, only because of the simple fact that the one woman that I was supposed to be able to put my whole life into left me when it mattered the most. So now I'm stuck, and even then I don't trust men to a certain extent because of how much I've been hurt. So it's like I'm in this like middle pathway where I don't know which way to step or which way to go because my trust is so slim in both genders. And I just can't put no energy into nobody without feeling like eventually I'm going to get fucked over because who matters the most left me when it counted the most. Because my dad ended up kicking me out when I was 18. So it was like I was stuck in this. I don't know who to trust. I don't know who I can follow. I don't know who to really rely on except myself and God, honestly. And that's how I continue to go day to day. And it might be a negative trait. It might be something that I probably should try to open up to and heal from. But based off what I went through, that's all my mind and my body and my heart allows me to do.
So real quick before anyone else answers, if you guys have any, if you guys want to chime in at all, make sure y'all stay for the after show, Red Room after the after talk. So make sure y'all stay tuned after the show. And any questions y'all have, I'll let y'all go ahead and jump in the box after. But don't be afraid to comment. We'll definitely talk about this a little further. So go ahead and I'll let you take it from there, RDS. What is your relationship with your parents and family like?
I was fortunate growing up to have my mama and my daddy in one home, and I didn't have a whole lot of sisters and brothers. I just had one sister, so we was pretty close. They got divorced later in life, but as far as me and my parents, like with my daddy, I'm spoiled, so I go looking for that, social life. I look for that. He spoiled me. He pretty much like if I can't do it, excuse my voice. If I can't do it. If I can't do it, I can call him, and he coming every time. But as far as me and my mom, I think she showed me more like tough love. She was the one like I hear other moms saying I love you like every day and shit. My mom, she didn't say it every day. She told me, she'll tell me every once in a while still, but it's not like every day, every month. But I hear it. But I mean, I live with my mom, so we pretty close. But I love them. I don't have no problems. Like they never done nothing like bad or neglectful to me. That's it.
Aldi?
Me. For me, when I was young, my parents were together. Then when they separated, my dad slowly and surely fell out my life. So that was a little different thing. But my mom grew up saying, "Well, I'm the dad and the mama." So I had a strong mom as a backbone to raise us. So that helped build me to what I am today. Watch my mama work and provide for us. But on the affection end, I really didn't get a lot of that growing up from my mom. She was too busy working and doing a lot of stuff to make sure that we was taken care of. So I think when it comes to communicating and stuff like that, that's something I do kind of struggle with, especially when it comes to like my feeling. But when it comes to family, I can go to my mom and talk to her. I already know if I ask my mom something, tell her a certain situation, she's gonna tell me if I was wrong, right, point blank period. Or also like with my brother or my sister, I can go to them and talk to them. But I also don't like look at a lot of the things like being raised and stuff as a motive how I am. The way I look at stuff is, like your parent tell you when you're young, don't touch that stove. It's hot. People can tell you to do things and stuff like that, but you have to make your own decisions. So I look at life as learn from what I can learn based off of seeing somebody going through it or just going through it myself. I mean, that's just how I am.
I want to give credit to Baldy for keeping his composure because I would have shut up halfway through that and be like,
I would shit myself like,
my relationship with my parents, man, it was weird. I was the bad boy. I was the havoc, the terror. So, on one sense, my father died when I was 8. My stepfather stepped into the picture when I was like three and a half. So on one end, with my stepdad, really became my dad because I didn't know anything else. But I was getting in trouble so much that I was always getting shit. I was getting tossed around a lot. So if I mess up over here with my mom and my stepdad, I was getting thrown over here to my grandparents. So it was kind of like, for me, it was kind of mixed, and I kind of agree with RDS. We didn't have a household to where that word love or I love you was said a lot. Like it wasn't really spoke of. Like emotions really wasn't heavy in my family, which was kind of weird because on that one end we didn't get emotions, and on the other end I'm looking at domestic violence, like on a daily, So like it was kind of weird for me, and it made it harder for me when I got older because I was confused on really how to love. Because on one foot with my mom and my stepdad, they was, oh, I sleep in this room, you sleep in that room type thing. And on the other end, my granddad and my grandmother, it was more like, oh, call the police every weekend because he done got drunk and jumped on it type thing. So my relationship, what I'm saying, it's solid, and I hate to say this, but I'm more closer and can confide more in my stepdad more so than my mother. I just wish that as a kid I learned what emotion really was because I grew up not really knowing what love is for so long and how to express that. So that's how it was for me, pretty much with my parents.
So with me, my parents were together almost 30 years. They were together 28 years. They did eventually split up, and then my dad did pass later in life. But for the most of my life, up until I was in my early 20s, actually like just before my 21st birthday, my parents split up. So for most of the brink of my life, I had two parent household. Now, with that being said, that did not mean they were the most loving of parents. Now, they were loving to us for the most part, but it was like they lived in the same home, but they were in a long distance relationship. So, my mom, she worked a lot. My dad, he was always out making bread and doing what he had to do. But for the most part, like, I think we kind of lacked in some ways because we didn't get to see them like always loving and loving on each other. Now we all loved each other, like as far as like we were like the Brady Bunch. We were the ones always in the car singing together and things like that of that sort. But for the most part, like we did see what that looked like, but it also created this thing because while they were together, like they didn't always get along. They didn't always there was a lot of yelling going on, so now like as an adult, instead of being the yeller, I actually hate that. That is something like I have a really huge aversion to. I can't be with someone who yells at me. Like I will completely shut down at that point. If you yell at me or you call me out of my name, I'm in shutdown mode. There is no longer a conversation at that point. And it's just like we were always yelling over each other. It was just something like now that I just can't deal with. So with now you're really gonna drop a dragon. So with that being said, I hate you. So I'm gonna move on. If you are just pulling up, that's okay. You can find us here every Saturday on the Red Room Talk at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have not missed it all. We still have so much more to discuss. We just discussed is blood thicker than water. Then we discussed the family breakdown. Then we also talked about your relationship with your parents. Now I want to dig a little deeper. Romantic relationships are influenced by our childhood experiences. Our parents' relationship is our first and most influential example of how to interact and communicate in a romantic relationship. How love was shown between parents is influential on the child. That makes sense because when you think about it, your parents are your only example of pretty much everything. When you're really young, you probably just accept the way things do to be right, even if it's not. For instance, if your parents were not very affectionate and hardly ever hugged or kissed you, you may have an aversion to affection as an adult. Children will model and emulate the way that their parents show love to one another. Plus, how love was expressed to the child is also significant. On a slightly different note, the ways in which anger and conflict we're managing your family also play a large factor in how we communicate with adult romantic partners. Whether or not a person tends to express their emotions more openly or tends to skew towards passive aggression, which I hate, frequently parallels how their parents communicated with each other and with the child. So what I want to know is, how do you think that your relationship with your parents plays a part in your relationships with other people, romantically speaking? I'm gonna go ahead and anyone can take it.
Okay, me.
Mm.
No, because I feel like everything you just said, I can understand to an extent. But I feel like I was never given like hugs, kisses. Like I wasn't like nothing. But me as an adult, I crave that. So for it's like the exact opposite. It's not like I wasn't given that all growing up. So now as an adult, I want that love. I want that attention. I want that feeling of being needed and that feeling of being appreciated because I didn't get it growing up. And I was always trying to give it because I was very affectionate little kid. So I was always trying to, hug on my aunt, my uncle. But they were always like, I swear to God, when I tell you, I lived with my aunt for a couple years, and every time I would try to hug her, the words she would always say with me is, "Get the fuck off me," like literally. Like she would not let me hug her or nothing. And like I said, I never had my mom in my life. My aunt was one of the only women that was really in my life, and she still neglected me, even living in a household with her. So like me as an adult, I still want that confirmation, that love. I want those hugs. I want all that because I didn't get that growing up. It's the complete opposite. I'm not the person that is like, no, don't touch me. No, I'm like, no, touch me because I just want to feel needed. I want to feel loved. I want to feel all that. I want to feel your emotions through how you hold me instead of just the words that you have.
I'm the same way. A lot of that what you said is the exact same for me. But if I'm going back to the question, how does that affect me and like how I interact with other people? I can say like for me, it's kind of hard for me to just tell people I love you. I feel weird saying that, so I think that might affect it because like it just feel like they might laugh at me if I say, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but that's just from I think that shaped me because that's why maybe I feel like that's why they don't say some little dumb shit dumb stuff I probably made up in my head along the way. Ooh, every time I start talking, you can move on to the next person. I was smoking, so it's messing with my throat.
That's why I say I love you so much, though, because I never heard it. So I always tell all my friends, I don't give a damn. Oh, I don't care who you are. I don't care how long I've known you. If you bring some positivity to my life, I love you for that. And I love you entirely. And I'm going to let you know that because you could be gone out this world tomorrow, or I could be going out this world tomorrow, and we could never talk again. But the last thing that you can remember I told you was that I loved you because of the person that you are. That's why I tell people that because I done had somebody been taken from me within seconds, and I never even thought that that could happen. But the last words we said to each other were we loved each other, and I can be content knowing that because we made that known. Like I know I love you, you know you love me. What can I be mad about? I might be gone, you might be gone. It don't matter what happened. We just knew that the last words we exchanged was that we loved each other, so we cool. Like nothing else matters.
For me, it was more so like I was saying before. I my parents they slept in two separate beds, and they didn't do the whole "I love you, son" and kiss you on the cheek and all that good stuff. So I agree with RDS and Lil Woody. Like it was for me. It was like when I got older, it was like I wanted to do anything I could to not be like that, to not be like them, to be better than them. No offense, but
Mm-hmm.
and then on the other side, like I said, my grandparents were like, "Yo, I'm not gonna hit no woman." nah, I'm not gonna do it. You know, like it's just I took the negative out of that and turned it into a positive. And as a stepping stone, as a building block, I fall in love quick. I fall in love hard. I think for that reason because I never got that love as a kid. Because besides me and my brother, there wasn't much emotion out of that. The only time we got emotion from our parents is that we did a good sports, good game. You dropped 50. That's my boy. You know, like other than that, it was like I'm going in for a hug. It's like, what do you want? What's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Get off me. Get off me. So, so for us as growing up as a kid, and those of y'all don't know, Yucky Dacious, my brother. So those us as kids, sports was our way of getting love. If we wanted a hug or a kiss or appreciation or to feel wanted and needed, we had the ball. We literally had the ball out. So yeah, for me, yeah, it was the exact opposite. It was the exact opposite. I wanted to show love and affection.
Some honestly, I agree with everybody, what everybody else said, and a lot with what G-Ray said. Like just kind of taking things to kind of mold what I want. You know, going through stuff and being through it and letting it keep you down is one thing, but trying to build and be better than what you done seen is another. And that's kind of how I build myself. You know, I'm also another person who have thoughts, a loved one in a split second. So that's something that, I deal with. And that actually kind of shook my world up and made me look at life a little bit different as well. And then as Lil Woody said earlier, a man came, raise a girl to be, a woman. I'm a single father of a daughter. So, it takes me, every day is a learning process. And, especially not having,
I commend you on that.
a lot of support, from what we've seen growing up. My mama has been my rock through this process. So, that helps a lot. And even though I'm not a child anymore, being grown, I have a different relationship with my mom. So I guess that changes the directive a little bit because I know for a fact if I need that mental break, I call my mom. I'll come get her right now or just drop her off. So I guess it's a little bit different with, not to try to change the topic, but it changes it a little bit for me because I already know I have a rock. I already know if I need that mental breakdown or whatever the case may be. A phone call away and my mom's on the way to, give me a break or whatever. Or my dad, hey, come bring Maddie here. We just gonna go fishing, catch some fish and, do everything. So I do have a support channel now that I feel like I didn't have when I was younger. So I guess, it kind of worked out and changed, a little bit for the better for me, but it's still, nerve wracking and all the other things.
So for me, so my mom was a very love her to death, but she's a very keep it to herself kind of person. I'm kind of both ends of the spectrum because my dad was a very emotional person. My dad was very bipolar. You didn't know whether today was your good day to be the good kid or whether you were going to be the good kid for the day. So it really it molded me to not really know whether to give or take a lot of times. And I always give, but I would it was I've always been seeking out that love that I've been looking for, and I've just never found it because I was always searching for it, I think, within them. My mom, she was very to herself. Not that they did not show love, because trust me, we are a very huggy, kissy, lovey-dovey, person. But I also was always seeking out that love. I was always seeking out that love that I'd never received. And it's not that they didn't give love, but it was that love that I was searching for, that freely given, it wasn't just today you're a good kid or tomorrow you're good, but I needed like that confirmation. Like that's why words of affirmation is my second love language, because I think I never really got that. I think I've always like sought out just someone telling me. If I know in my mind, or I get that confirmation that you love me, then I can love you with the depths of myself. But if I don't hear that from you, or I don't feel that from you, or I feel like that pullback, it's like takes me back to that with my dad, whether I was the good kid or the bad kid. You know what I'm saying? It takes me back to that in my mind, I think, a little bit, that like if I don't hear it, it's like it's not true. Like if you don't tell me that you love me, or you don't, like show me in some way, then I'm not going to believe it to be true, because I shouldn't have to even tell you I love you, but I'm going to. Like I will tell you every day. Like I will just look at you, and sometimes we were actually just talking about this on another show, that I might hold it back for a while. I probably loved you way before I said it. I probably loved you way before I said it. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of those people that kind of hold it to myself as a self-protectant mode. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could have loved you literally from the second day that I met you, or I could have loved you from the first day, and it just was of this feeling of just knowing. But if I didn't express it, it's only out of like fear that you don't feel the same, because if I don't feel that same, I'm gonna hold it to myself, because I don't want to love someone more than they love me. You know what I mean? And that's just a fear of loving someone and them not loving me back, because I've done that all my life. I feel like I've always loved people and that didn't show it back or didn't reciprocate it, so I always was seeking that out. You know what I mean? Even as an adult, like I always was lacking that reciprocated love. It was not that I never had someone love me, but I always was the person who loved more. So, I hate y'all. Anyways, if you are just pulling up, you are late. Okay, you're late, but that's okay. You haven't missed everything. We still have so much more to discuss. That's okay. You can find us here every Saturday, seriously, at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mind your business, Taylor. We just discussed is blood thicker than water. Then we discussed the family breakdown. We also talked about your relationship with your parents and how that affects your romantic relationships. But now I kind of want to bring it all together. So if you notice something was missing in your relationship with your parents, reflect on whether or not you are seeking to find it in your current or future relationship. I just touched on that. Working on trying out new ways of communicating in your relationship. Specific behaviors you can work on in your relationships, such as asking more in-depth questions, turning toward your partner when they make attempts to connect with you, expressing yourself assertively when you feel hurt, identifying these patterns and explore the roadblocks to implementing new positive ones. You guys, like I just said, kind of things that I dealt with is sometimes it consciously takes me to think about something and how it affects other people. One thing I'm a chronic overthinker. If you know me, you know this about me, that I will think about things in every which angle, from upside down, over, left, right, from every angle, because I don't ever want someone to feel the things I've felt before. I don't want anyone to ever feel unloved. I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're not important and they don't have worth, because I've felt those things most of my life. So I always make sure to kind of over love somebody. I'm going to do things and I'm going to love you in your love language. I'm going to love you the way that I know that you need to be loved, in ways that you've probably lacked most of your life. Sometimes that gets me in trouble, because I wind up loving someone who is very broken and cannot be repaired. Now, this is not saying that someone who is broken does not deserve and does not leave, and that I can't love someone that way. But I also know that I need someone who can work on those things and implement, knowing what they grew up with, what I'm saying, recognizing what you dealt with as a child. It took me until way later in life to recognize the things that were not right as a child, and to recognize the things that I grew up doing because of the things that I grew up with. You know what I'm saying? So I recognized the bad patterns that I was implementing in my relationship because of something that I seen. So what I want to know is, what would you do differently from what your parents did?
Everything. Point blank, period, underline, exclamation point, heart face emoji, everything.
No, facts. I felt everything he just said. I would do everything different, because None of my parents ever made me feel like I could talk to them. My parents didn't make me feel like they were 100% there. My parents didn't set me up for what the real life was going to be like. My parents kind of just left
Hit
me
over
out
the head with that one. Did not
to
set me up with
get,
the real life.
you know what I mean? So it's like, I want to do everything different because I want to set my kids up. I want them to be able to rely on me. I want them to lean on me when their times get hardest. And there's times where I don't even feel like I can lean on my parents at all. So, yeah, I want to provide the exact opposite of everything that my parents provided to me.
So I want to change everything. Honestly, my mom have always been there for me, no matter what. So that's one thing I would keep. No matter what I done, what I've said, what I've did, I already know I can call my mama. She gonna fuss at me, but she's gonna be right there, give me encouraging words and help me come through that. So that's one thing I would keep. But my mom's kind of hard, so I guess that's one thing I'm still working on because I can come off as kind of hard sometimes. So that's one of the main things I feel like I would change because I'm a easygoing person, but I can come off hard at times. So I guess that's one thing that I feel like I do need to work on. And I see it sometimes. Like I didn't notice it, but like even with my daughter, my brother, and I said, "Hey, my mom used to do that all the time," and kind of bring me back a little bit. So I guess coming off hard would be one of the main things I would change.
So for me, my parents was, I feel like they was great. They gave us a good life. I won't even complain. It just was a lack of affection shown. But what I would change is my delivery. I was trying to switch it up and tell my daughter in a way that didn't work for the way my parents told me. Because obviously they tried to prepare me for life, but my hard head ass didn't listen. I just did what I wanted to do, and I found out on my own. So I would try to change my delivery in a way that maybe it can click for her to see because a lot of what my parents was telling me, like I felt like they were just saying that so I wouldn't go do that stuff instead of telling me exactly like why. So I don't know. I would find a way to reach her. Like I do that now with her, and she's only 8. So like I try to find ways for it to like stick with her. That's all I would really change is my delivery.
And to add to what I said, I have to kind of piggyback off Baldy a little bit this time. You know, he got me once, so I got to get him back. I wish the relationship I have with my parents now was the relationship I had with as a kid. Because now, like my mom's like my homie. You know, my stepdad's like my bro. But, like when I was a kid, it wasn't like that. So that was one thing I would change.
So for me, I'm not saying my parents were the worst, like by any means. I had great parents. They made sure that we were respectful. They made sure that we were clothed and fed. We got affection. We got hugs every night. I can even remember, like, we had this thing. We would stand at their door and we would be like, "I love your hugs," and they'd be like, "I love your kisses," and then all together we'd say, "And I love you." You know, those are things that we did. So I know that, like, what I want for that is I want to sit at a table with my family like we did. We used to sit, we had like the family round table, we'd sit every night. We would, no TV, no nothing. We would sit there and love on each other. You know what I'm saying? We all would talk about our days. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that I would change, and actually I'm going to go off of what Tag Jarrett said in the comments, and this definitely has to be said. um the generation our parents lived in, honestly, our parents, I'm sure, tried the best, and I think I have to really look at and give my parents props because they didn't have a great example themselves, so they probably lacked a lot of the love that I might have felt the lacking because they lacked it. My dad, he was adopted. My mother, she was adopted. So I look at that, like, where did they learn affection from? They had to really learn it from themselves because They didn't receive that. So what the love that they gave me, I really honestly am so grateful for, because they didn't have great examples. You know what I'm saying? The generation they lived in, let's be honest. A lot of the stuff that went on back then was hush hush. I mean, there was a lot of molestation going on. There was a lot of abuse going on. There was a lot of domestic abuse going on, and things that really weren't talked about, that we as children were blind to because we were children. So I have to really look at that right there, and I have to give my mother and my father props, because they didn't have the best examples. They gave me what they had within themselves and what they had to work with. You know what I'm saying? So for that alone, Tag, thank you for saying that comment, because I definitely, my mom, I know she watches these shows, and I'm sure sometimes it must feel hard on her heart to listen to this sometimes, but I have to also give her props and know that she raised me to be a good, kind person that loves everybody. You know what I'm saying? I was raised to love everybody as if they were human, that as if they're my brother and my sisters. You know what I'm saying? So I really acknowledge that in her, that she really raised me to be this strong person. Anytime I go through things and I might be upset and I'm crying, she'll look at me, she's like, you're my daughter, so I know you are stronger than that. So that's something I can say in her now as a grown-up that I probably didn't appreciate as much back then that I can appreciate now, is that she always lets me know that I am a strong, beautiful woman, and that I can do things that I don't even know that I can do, because she sees it and she believes in me. Whether or not they taught me, right or wrong, or however it was in their life, one thing she's always said is that no matter what in this world, as I always chose my own way, and that lets her know that she raised me right, because I have my own mind. A lot of times we take on our parents' thing, and the one thing that I know that I got from her was her strength. Because I know to hold a lot of that stuff in that she holds in actually probably takes more strength to hold it in than to let it out. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you're holding on to things for so long, you know what I'm saying? But when you finally release them, that's a strength in itself. So I know that me being the type of person that I let those things out, and I come here every Saturday and I let some of these things out that are even hard for me to talk about, that I know that is that strength that she instilled in me. So if you are just pulling up, you're definitely late. It's almost over, but don't fret. You can find us here every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Red Room Talk. We are at my favorite part of the night. We just discussed Is Blood Thicker Than Water. We discussed the family breakdown. We also talked about your relationship with your parents and how it affected your romantic relationships. And then we brought it all together and with what you do differently. Now we're going to go to my favorite segment of the night, the Ask Jen Hot Seat Question. I went to Instagram to ask our peers what they wanted to know, so viewers can send questions just for me to answer. If you want your question to be featured on next week's episode, make sure you go to my profile, click the icon, and follow me on Instagram, and look out for the Ask Jen Host Hot Seat Question post. This week, Victoria's Secret wrote in and asked, how do you stop the cycle from repeating itself? So Victoria, how you stop that cycle, I believe, is first of all, just like you recognize any problem, is admitting it. Admitting that you know and you see and recognize these cycles, and that is how you begin to stop them, is recognizing that it was a cycle in the first place. I didn't, honestly, like I was talking about earlier, I didn't recognize and I didn't or admit it to myself until much later in life, that a lot of my coping mechanisms and a lot of the things I was doing and why I was doing them was because that's how I was taught, and that's what I watched more than even what I was taught, or lack of seeing. My dad passed away when I was 21 years old. Now, while you might need your parents when you're younger, me being older and losing him really was detriment to me, because that, to me, I feel like you need your parents more so when you're grown than when you're younger. Because when you're younger, you have a lot of your friends backing you up. You're kind of outside the house. You're kind of learning and growing. But I feel like when you're older are the times when the real problems hit and you need your parents the most. So that was really detrimental for me. And I think really starting to recognize things that I was lacking, and because I couldn't go back and talk to him about it. That was something that really struck me, was knowing that I couldn't call at him and yell at him like, you know what you did, these things that I couldn't go back and talk about because he was no longer here. And those are things that sometimes I even feel guilt about being angry about because he's gone. I'm like, dang, I can't even call him and cuss him out, or I can't even call him, tell him, well, if it wasn't for you, but it really took for me to like look within inside myself and say, these were things that you dealt with, and it's okay to feel hurt over those things, but we also have to move forward because we are no longer a child. We are grown now. So I have to recognize those things, start to heal them, work on them, even if it takes a few minutes a day of just thinking about them, reflecting, and then moving on. You know what I'm saying? Not dwelling in the past so much, but start to move forward to know that there is something greater out there, and that I don't have to deal with something like that, and that there is better. It's like kind of like one of those better, you do better type things. So that for me was really detrimental to my growth as an adult, was to really just recognize that I don't have to live there anymore. You know what I mean? I don't have to live there in my mind anymore, that I am grown and I can move on and make better choices with my partner. So, if you are just pulling up, this is the Red Room Talk. You can find us here every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's basically over. Tonight's topic was family and does it affect your relationships. You definitely, but don't fret. You can find us here you can find us on YouTube by clicking that icon in my profile. You will see all the past episodes from season 2 on to now. Now I would like to wrap up the show with this quote. Every week I like to have like this sense of healing. We come together, we talk about these things, and these things can be really hard to talk about. So I always try to wrap it up with this quote so we can kind of come to this place where we know that we're trying to heal, because that's what we're here for. Um, so with this quote, in truth, a family is what you make it. It is made strong not by number of heads counted at the dinner table, but by the rituals you help family members create, by the memories you share, by the commitment of time, caring, and love you show to one another, and by hopes for the future that you have as individuals and as a unit. Marge Kennedy. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let you guys all reintroduce yourselves before we go. And then please stick around, all of you in the comments. You guys will have a chance to ask questions and talk as soon as we're done. But go ahead, y'all, reintroduce yourselves. Let us know a little bit about you, and then we can wrap it up with the song.
I'm going first.
Ready?
Yep, I am. My name is Lil Woody. I have a show every Monday at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I know it's kind of late, but y'all gotta stay tuned because it's the juiciest show on the motherfucking app right now. It's called Making a Mess Monday. Like I said, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. New season, new time, with Lil Woody and Mrs. And I just want to say thank you, Jen, for having me. I love being on this show. This is one of the only shows that'll get into my feelings in. So yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you wholeheartedly, and yeah, thank you guys.
My name is RDS, aka Rich Dark Skin. I'm like I said, I'm not much of a streamer, but don't count me out because when I get back started, I'm gonna be at y'all next. So right now it's a little like it's like every once in a while. So just fade me. I fade me back. I come to your stream, show love. I'm a rapper also. You can find my music on YouTube. It's only 2 on there right now, but I'll be releasing some new music shortly. So make sure you hit me with that sub when you go to my YouTube. Other than that, thank you, Jen, for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Always.
If y'all don't know me by now, you're tripping like Big Feet. It's your boy G Way or No Way. If you don't know me, you know the slogan. Um, I got a lot of stuff going on. New show coming up. I'm doing Tuesday for the fellas, the sports block. Wednesday got Shake That You Know What, 9 to 11. Thursdays I'm on Getting Lit from 9 to 10. Fridays I'm probably live 9 to 11. Saturday you can catch me right here, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Other than that, like pretty much any night at 9 p.m. until I get sleepy, I'm on. So fave me, please fave me. G-Way, no way.
Well, I'm balding. I don't have no show. New to the app. So actually, Monday will be a month that I've been on tag. Everybody who was in the box, I already sent y'all that fave, so make sure y'all fave me back. Um, I'm still trying to get this whole thing figured out. I'm learning as I go, and I got a couple of good people who, teach me along my way. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. Hit that fade button. Party out the building.
Untitled Sounds Production. What up, sound?